Hello, folk. This is Bazil Meade MBE, founder of the London Community Gospel Choir. I will be in conversation with Rudi Lickwood on his Keeping It Real show on the 19th of April. Don't miss it. See you there.
We are all misunderstood. They say we stand for nothing. There's no way we ever could see what's going wrong with the world and those who lead it. We just don't have the room to rise above and beat it. So we keep on waiting on the world to change. We keep on waiting on the world to change.
Waiting on the road to change. On the road, we keep on waiting on the road to change. I know, Verona, you must really say to me, Rudy, for God's sake, stop much up the bad chord. Stop much up the bad chord. But you lot know me, man. I love to sing. Yeah. I guess the only thing is that I went to an Anglican church, right? Which means that the only way that us lot was singing back in the day was like we were cold. We were freezing, and you would have thought that we were actually frightened, the way that we actually sounded. But no, thank you very much for coming, people. Thank you very much. As you know, this is the last Keeping It Real for this season. This is the end of season 2. Okay, and I was wondering, how am I going to end season 2, considering that we've had comedians, we've had business people, we've had artists, you get me, and we've also had you people at home, you know, because it was Michael Barrymore who did Everyday People, and that's how this platform actually originated. It originated with everyday people in the Black community, or as I like to call them, unsung heroes. Yeah, and we've got so many unsung heroes in our community. Good evening, Natural Mystic. How are you doing, darling? We've got so many unsung heroes that you guys were right. It was time that we started to sing our own praising. What a season ending! Are you excited? Oh, thank you. And we haven't even got into it yet, but we will. And you know me, I don't just bring my guests on. Do you know what I mean? I don't just bring them on. I give you a slight little intro to them first before you get to see them. This man, I had to track him down. I wasn't even sure if he was going to say yes, to be honest with you. I wasn't even sure if he was going to say yes. But once again, he's another humble individual who you give them a call. I think I actually left him a message. And he actually responded to my message in less than 2 days. He responded to my message, which I was quite surprised at, to be honest with you. But no, we've got hold of him. So let me introduce you to Mr. Bazil Meade. Good evening, Bazil.
My goodness, that's very impressive.
Was you actually impressed?
Photos, I'm very impressed. I haven't seen some of those photos for years.
Seriously?
Where did you get them from?
Oh, I dug around, mate. I go through people's treasure chest, yeah, and I go in search. That's what I do. I'm
very, very, very impressed with them. Yeah, looking at my stages of development to where I am now, bearded and gray down and all that.
Oh man, yeah. I mean, you talk about gray haired and beard down. I mean, I think over the lockdown, because of the lockdown, I think I've got even more grayer, simply because we weren't allowed to go outside and we was all told that we got to stay in. So the sun was unable to penetrate and deal with my melanated
Right.
skin
Yeah.
and bring out the best
Yeah.
in me. How have you
Right.
been? How have you been dealing with the lockdown?
I've hated it. Yeah, I have struggled with it though, because I am normally very active in terms of flying in and out of Europe, running master classes, teaching gospel to choirs all over Europe. I absolutely love that. Been doing it here as well, but I particularly enjoy the cross-cultural exchanges, because I'm teaching a very important, a very productive part of Black culture, which is gospel music. It comes from us. It was birthed by particularly our African American brothers and sisters, and you know, we are the cousins over here, and we certainly have our own story to tell. So I think it's important that people who love the music, love the culture, get the opportunity to understand it. And I think that's one thing I love, in that I'm able to not only teach the music, but I tell the stories. I give them information that they would have never heard about the route that the music has taken to get here. Like the Africans, our descendants have been taken from Africa to the Americas, Caribbean, Brazil, and the other places where there are black populations. They need to hear that, and they need to hear the story, the pain and the suffering. So I tend to teach that before I go into the singing.
Okay.
While I'm singing it, when I'm introducing a song, I give a history of the song, so that, again, they'll understand, they'll sing with understanding, and hopefully apply some emotion and connect with the journey of the music.
Right, because the thing is, I mean, you forced me to jump in a way, in terms of where I was.
Thank you, Claire. Yeah, thank you, Claire.
You forced me to jump in a way, because you mentioned how where the music was coming from, and on studying you, and also on reading your book, I think it's fair to say that you're more of a student of gospel music than you are. I would say, I know you're a facilitator, but I see you more as a student, because when you decided that you were going to go into gospel music, you first studied it. You went and you looked at what the Americans were doing, yeah, and where they were coming from. And the line that really stood out to me was that what was the line again? The line was, they feel it, whereas we read it off the pages.
Yeah. And it's very interesting observations. You know, gospel music is about feeling. I mean, there are some places now where it's notated, they put it down on paper. But ultimately, to get the power, the intensity, the honesty of the music, it comes from the soul. You know, you can look at a piece of paper, it might have lyrics on it, but you've got to sever yourself from that and sing it from the reality of your experience. And that is where many people might struggle, because you know, if you've been living this journey, you're more likely to be able to present it. And that's it's such an interesting challenge, sharing it with Europeans who have not had this journey. It's trying to get them to connect, because they want to. And I think that's something we must be clear of, and understand. They want to understand. And those who come to the workshops, they're there because they want to be there. And so it's an opportunity to share honestly with them and give them you know, some more information that they can go away with, and maybe do some more research so that they connect more humanely, more from a human perspective, with the journey of those who brought gospel music to the world.
Is gospel really about pain, though?
Is it? Sorry?
Is it really about pain? Is it really about sorrow? Is it
originally it was. Initially it was, but I don't think that that sense of struggle is never lost. I certainly never disconnect from that, because that is what fires up my passion when I'm singing. I'm connecting to my descendants.
Yeah.
I'm connected to the pain and suffering they went to, and the more I read about it, is the deeper it sits in my DNA, and I then realize why I need to do what I do, because a lot of people will never appreciate it. They can never appreciate it, though. They cut off from it because it's ugly. It's not very nice to embrace it and to go into it. It's a just sort of experience I when I spoke to, I'm probably jumping some of the stuff.
No, that's cool. We'll be all right because we know where we're going.
Yeah, when I spoke to the guides who took me and the group of people, a mixed group of people around Robben Island into Nelson Mandela's cell.
Right.
You know, the pain I felt after they explained to me why they, because I couldn't understand why they're doing that job every day, because they were with him when he was being brutalized, when he was being what do you call, oppressed in the way he was while I was in jail. All of the inhumanity that they imposed on him, they were there with him, so they were suffering the same way.
Yeah.
But here they are reliving those moments every day, explaining to people, giving people, taking people through the walk, so they might get a feeling of what they lived, what Nelson Mandela lived, and that is what it's about. You do it because you want to educate the world.
Okay.
Yeah. So that for me, it's a not a job. It's a responsibility that I accept, and it's where my life has been, and I don't see me changing now.
No, and why should you? I mean, you've actually been awarded the MBE, yeah, which for some people, you know, becomes questionable, you know, but I mean, you received yours the same time Eddie did.
Yeah,
Mr.
I
Nesta.
walked into the room. Eddie, we know each other quite well. We have a bit of banter every now and again. So I didn't know that he had been nominated. So he got there before me. He was in this room of maybe about 70 other people who were receiving their honors on that day. And his back was turned to me. And I think a few people turned around from the group that he was in. And he spotted me as I was walking into the room. So he looked at me and said, "What you doing here?" You can imagine the room was silent for a moment. Yeah. So I said, "What are you doing here?"
Elliot, we are there, Eddie. Where do you, sir?
We are doing. And we cracked up. I mean, so many people kind of looked at us. We were two crazy people. How could they give awards to these two nutters?
Elliot.
But it caused a lot of conversation. We were able to have good banter. We chatted, and we proudly went up and both received our honors independently.
Because there you are, and you look extremely tidy is not the word. Tidy would be the wrong word. You look very. You look like you went out and you spent about £600 on that suit there.
How did you know? How do you know? My goodness, that what I paid for it, brother.
Woo! That suit looked crisp.
And it cut to size, man.
Yeah.
It was sprayed on.
Yeah.
I just got back from holiday as well, so you see my tan is just rich.
That's what I'm saying. You look melanated, bruv.
Yeah, I just got back from holiday. I felt my skin was just absolutely glowing. Yeah, so I walked up proudly and received my honor recognition.
Excellent.
I mean, some people have had problem receiving it.
Well, Benjamin Zephaniah, the poet.
And I actually had somebody text me and said, "So, you had some British guys who have given theirs back. What will you follow suit?" I said,
"Right,
no."
Yeah."
I said, "It's a decision we must all independently make. This honor is not just about me."
Okay.
I am one person. I led an organization of now for 40 years practically. There are hundreds of them who've come through and have helped to build this reputation, this name. We've impacted our community here in the UK, in Europe, across the world. I don't feel that I would have been serving them right or correctly by turning it down, because it is recognition of our work, recognition of the input into the British society here. And I think it's important for people of color like me, like us, to be recognized. And we need to show that we accept that recognition so that our young people in return can have
a sense of belonging.
Yeah, they can direct their ambitions, not necessarily to what I do, but in so many different areas. we need to give them models, role models that they can follow. And you know, it's important for us to make decisions based on not necessarily just now, but we need to think about the future. It's all part of it. I thought of where we came from, how we organized ourselves against all the odds back in 1982. And here I am with another generation, another decade of people who wanted to be part of this choir. They come in, they're trained up, and we get on the road. We are everywhere. We're in schools, we're in public places, we're in business places, we're in the royal palaces.
I mean, what was that experience like the first time that you actually performed for Her Royal Highness? Can you remember the first time?
Yeah, I think it was the Queen's 60th from the Royal Opera House. Margaret Thatcher was in government. Neil Kinnock was up.
Margaret Thatcher, boo, boo,
yes.
boo. Don't swear on this. Don't swear on this show.
Everybody in the theatre at that time, the government and its opposition, the Queen Mother, they were all there. I remember it well. My son, who is now 37 thereabouts, he was 2 years old at the time, and because he was choir mascot. So the BBC producer of the program asked that we bring our mascot along with us. So we had to go out and get a little suit for him as well. So he was suited and booted.
Is this him when he was little bit?
No, that's my eldest son. That's the eldest son. My God, where you get these photos?
Is that the eldest? Is that the eldest?
Julie, thank you very much. Looking dapper, she says.
Yeah. You know, if this is your eldest son, him look like you.
He looks here.
That's why, like, you know what? I said to myself, when I come across this, right? I said, there's no way could I be making a mistake, because I've done it before where I put somebody up, and it wasn't their partner. I did not make that.
Yeah, that's Marlon. Marlon, my first son. I was a young spring chicken. See my afro? Can you see it?
Oh yeah.
I used to cut his hair, so he cut his hair, shape it like mine. You can see it.
Yes, yeah. It's
there you go.
We can see that you done it. We can see that you done it, definitely.
I don't know how to take that. I don't know how to take that. I was a good barber.
So that was the first one, Marlon.
That was And so my second son, who's the musician, is with me. He's an amazing musician. You'll find him all over social the social networks as well. Official Leon, or Leon Official. Leon with two N's. The
L-E-O-N.
That's it. The ladies like him a lot. He's a good-looking fella. Much better looking than me.
Is it? Okay. So he was actually the mascot when you actually went to do that performance.
Rudy, I used to take that at the time. There were three children, two girls. There was Stephanie and Vanetta and Leon, even Marlon as well. Oh my goodness. You are incredible. There they are. That's the girls are Vanetta on the left, she's the eldest, Leon, the boy, and then Stephanie, the baby at the time. They sit in order as always. They always like that whenever they're together. They stand in that order.
Okay.
All family with their own, all family people with their own children. I have 9 grandchildren.
Whoa, you got 9. Me have 2. Me have 2. Yeah, but
you're a young boy, man.
Yeah. Me have 2. I'm happy with them. I'm not gonna lie. Lie.
9. And I found it very moving as well. You included my father's photo in the list.
I thought I would. I mean, I've actually got an image. I've actually got an image of your mother as well, but I've also got an image of the youngster.
That's another one. Yeah, another daughter.
Little bit there. She looks cute.
Yeah,
she looks really cute.
Performing Arts College, following in footsteps.
So she's going into the performing arts as well.
Yeah, she's gone into performing arts. Amazing voice. Again, with a bit of the grit, the family trait, the vocal grit, but she has soul. She's in studio writing and getting experiences at the college. Elam, it's called. Elam down on Bromley by Bow. So the British, Very much like the Brits in South London. This is the East London version. Great school. Absolutely wonderful work they're doing there with the youngsters. They do everything from camera work, video, music, dancing.
She's lucky. She's lucky in that respect. No, I don't know. Maybe our generation is different, because I know that when it came to the performing arts, the encouragement back then was get a trade. Do you remember that saying? Do you remember that?
Yeah.
Get a trade. Get a trade. Yeah. That's all the boys were told. As boys, we were bragging,
told. But when I was like 12, 13-year-old, I was brilliant at cricket.
Okay, that was your thing.
And my school teacher wanted to take me to Essex for trials.
Mm-hmm.
And he told me to speak to my parents because he would like to speak to them, arrange it. And I took the message home.
Uh-huh.
You can well believe what the response was.
Yeah.
Study your books.
Yeah.
Study your books. Forget that. That.
It wasn't really. I don't think it was uncommon in most households.
No. You hear it many times. Many times. Study your books. They want you to have something that according to them.
It was always about the education. It was always about the academics.
Education into your head and get you working at a desk or doing something. Doctor, lawyer, engineer, something like that.
Mm-hmm. I mean, normally it's the Africans who get told. The white collar jobs, the solicitors, the lawyers,
that's because their parents are anal.
Okay.
It's either you forget living or you go and study. That is it. That's the first thing. They must study. I mean, some of the parents said, "Oh, the children, the youngsters I've talked to said, oh, I couldn't consider doing anything else. My parents would kill me."
Right. Yeah.
It's very fiercely encouraged by the African. That's why there's so many Africans in key jobs. Caribbean people don't have the same sort of intensity when insisting on
when it comes to study and education.
Yeah.
But the thing is that you're Montserrat. What is it? How would I pronounce what you actually are? A Montserratan?
Montserratian.
Montserratian. Yeah.
Or some people have shortened it Stratton.
Stratton.
Yeah. We're Strattons.
Yeah. So I mean, you must be quite concerned at the moment with what's going on in St. Vincent, because there is a parallel.
Absolutely.
And
Montserratians are reliving the experience 95, 99 when Soufrière, because there's a train of volcanoes along that ridge. Montserrat, then you got St. Vincent, St. Lucia.
Yeah.
I think there might be one on Dominique as well. So a few of the islands are volcanic, and so what Montserrat, the volcano Montserrat demonstrated is lethal. I went back in 98, invited by Sir George Martin, the Beatles music arranger and manager, because he lived on the island. Montserrat also housed a studio, and many people probably don't know that. There were 3 of those studios in the world, one in New York, one on Oxford Street, and one in Montserrat.
Okay.
Majority of your British rock pop stars recorded. They went to Montserrat and they recorded their music. They wrote, and they would stay down for months because it was such a tranquil place. Very little to no crime. You didn't have to worry about locking your car.
Well, put it this way, man. Listen, why would you be worried when you know that if you just walk 2 miles, right, you find out who took it? Because Montserrat ain't big, blood. It's not a big place.
It's not.
If everybody jumped, the whole island sink. Come on, man. It's not a big place.
Listen, mate. You're Jamaican, right?
No, sir. No. I coming from a continent. Boy. I tell you.
Really?
I Guyanese. You get me?
No.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, that's even more interesting.
Yeah. I'm Guyanese, man. And the thing is that I thought my sister Lana would have told you that, because Lana is the second person from your right there.
That's right.
That's my sister.
Between one of my daughters and one of the other ladies. Wow. Lorna was a petite lady with a very bright soprano voice.
Yeah, big voice. She had a big voice.
Yeah,
Damn it, man.
Yeah, she was a good lady.
If I tell you about the things that we had to put up with when Silly Games come on, you could understand. You understand? When Silly Games came on with Janet Kay and she ripped through that piece there about Silly Games. Oh my God, Lana was all over that tune. She was all over that tune. That it was like we had to say, you know what, you need singing lessons. I think it's time you come out the house and go find some singing lessons. But sorry, I digress.
So as I was saying, Montserrat housed a very famous studio. You name it from, Sting, Duran Duran, Luther Vandross, Stevie Wonder, the Americans. A lot of them went down to the Caribbean and recorded music down there. Phil Collins. There are photos of them outside the studio, just shorts, writing and recording their music. Montserrat was a beautiful place, so they went there. So I went down with my choir and some Irish musicians because there's a strong connection between the Irish settlers who went to Montserrat and the then slaves.
Okay.
So there's strong presence you see on the island that there's an Irish connection there.
There's a strong Irish community in Montserrat. That I never knew. I mean, I never knew. No longer
so much a community, but you'll see signs that a lot of the areas of Montserrat were named off of parts of Ireland.
Okay.
One cinema on the island before volcano was called the Shamrock.
Okay.
The biggest event that happens on the island is St. Patrick's Day.
That's amazing. Yeah,
so you have Irish people who go down for that. They go down to the island for that. It's an interesting part of history. St. Kitts and Nevis has a similar history as well, with Irish people settling on those islands. People. We just need to try and educate ourselves. We tend to hear much more about what happened on Jamaica, and particularly Jamaica, Barbados, in particular, because there's such a heavy British presence there now. But a lot of the islands have very interesting history that is worthwhile. We should try and educate ourselves about, so we can share with our children, let them understand about the heritage in which they live in, they were birthed in. You can't change that, so it's important for them to learn it.
Because I noted that in your book you create very vivid pictures of you growing up in Montserrat, running around barefooted. The idea of going to school when you went to school, and the assembly and everything. I mean, when did the book come out?
The book is probably about 6 years old now. I am very poor with remembering years when things happen. It just doesn't log in my head. But it's probably about 7 years ago.
Okay.
The book was launched because I was approached by a publisher saying, "Well, you've
got a story,
an excellent and amazing life with the London Community Gospel Choir. We'd like to know more about you. Would you like to put your journey, your life story down in a book?" I said, "Yeah, very much." They said, "We'd love to publish it." So they put me together with a ghostwriter, and together we would meet in a hotel on intervals. I think I drove her absolutely crazy because I had to be canceling because I was working. What do you mean Montserrat isn't big, Julie? Don't go there. Don't go there. Okay, I'm warning you.
Well, the thing is that Larry's giving me a red card. I should be sent off.
Yeah. So we would meet up in a hotel for a couple of hours at a time, and I just talked. She asked me a question, I just talked, and took me back to where I was. I was a country boy. We lived in a very small household, maybe 2-3 rooms, I think, with the kitchen was just a mech thing, as you would find in the country parts of most Caribbean islands. And we lived very happily with my dad. It was I grew up at that point. There he is, the champion, Fenton Kerwin.
And he looks about 6'3". I might add.
No,
He looks.
it was a little man like me.
Are you for real?
Yeah. But you know what? There wasn't an ounce of fat on him.
I can't see none. I can't see none.
No. When he took that shirt off, he was ripped. You wouldn't believe it, and he was late in age there.
Okay.
He worked hard, non-stop. He loved working the soil. That man always had his cutlass. He was known for it, and because he stammered, he was known in the village. You don't mess with that man. We particularly have his cutlass in his hand. If you get him angry,
yeah, we'll chop here.
Start running.
Did he have a nickname? Did you have a nickname as a child growing up?
They used to call him Bulu.
Okay.
Bulu.
Okay.
Yeah. He didn't mess. People didn't joke with him too much, particularly if it's taking the mickey out of him because of his stammer.
Okay.
But he was a very honest, living, hardworking man. He worked the soil, planted. We went fishing with him. In fact, in the book, you might have heard me read where I talked about going to the field with him to plant cotton.
Yes, that's right.
And
That's right.
Back in the day, that's what happened. The villages. I lived in a village called Farms Village. It was sandwiched between two rivers, and the mountain, the volcano being one of them. On the other side, and the rivers flow down to the sea, and so the airport was at the bottom on the seashore. So we could sit outside on an evening on a veranda and see all the planes landing and taking off at the airport. Amazing. So I didn't have a proper pair of shoes until I was ready to come to England. I did everything barefooted. I lived barefooted. Went to the mountain. I would do everything. Go to the fields with my hoe. I'm cutting the soil like my dad. Do whatever I need to do. We would prepare the soil to plant the cotton seeds. We would weed the young plants out, and then when the tree is grown and is brought forth the cotton crop, we would pick the cotton, bag it up, and then put it in a truck that the government would sell, and that's how my dad would have earned a bit of money to live off of, to buy other things apart from what we got out of the ground,
Okay.
or picked off of the trees. So I lived very naturally.
Do you think that our children are spoilt when you consider the kind of work that you was doing at that age compared to, I mean, you got a little one now, so you know what I mean, compared to what they do when they get up in the morning?
Oh my goodness, it's not comparison. It's all relative, isn't it? They're blessed to be born now. They are blessed. So the lifestyle is different. The routines are so different. My experience when I came to England,
wait, hold on, before you go there, because I know you're gonna go. I do want to go into England, but before we even get there, I'd like to hear about that experience of when that envelope came. Yeah, because it was an envelope that quite a few of you.
That's my mom.
That's right. Yeah, I'm saying that's right. Like I know.
You are. Yeah. I'm just being amazed that you've dug and found all of these photos.
Yeah, but because
she passed around 207. 207. Yeah,
because there's this thing about receiving this envelope of invitation to the UK, because you didn't just come to the UK, you were sent for.
Yeah.
And there
that was the norm back then, the tradition. This was about 1961, and lived with my dad and my brother, who's now who's been resident in Florida. He was the elder. So we when my mother came to UK, the plan was that she would come to UK, she would work, save money, and send for us at some point, dad as well. But after saving enough money to get me up there, then I suppose I didn't sink in.
No, it couldn't have, because the way that when the envelope came, I can't remember who it was you was with, and they said, "You get your envelope, y'all go England, y'all go England." Y'all go England.
That's my dad.
Yeah. then you had to go to school, and it was announced.
And you just, I suppose, in as much as all that was happening around me, it didn't realize. I think when I was taken down to the boat down in Plymouth, where this huge boat, I'd never ever been close or seen anything that size on water. I was taken down to the boat, and then you had other people from Montserrat who were boarding, because these boats went from island to island picking up the passengers. And so I had my little valise in my hand. I think what we call them, made of leather, basically, and with all my worldly goods in this thing. And I remember almost falling, tripping up as I was walking up, because
nerves,
I was literally thrust out there. My dad was still on dry land. And he told a couple of guys from the village, just keep an eye on my boy for me.
Whoa.
And that was it.
Whoa.
So I didn't have a parental care and protection during those 2 to 3 weeks I was at sea. These young guys, who a lot of the time, they were young, virile men, so they were around hunting on the boat.
Of course. Yeah, testosterone is running around rife on them. So, and you're 9 years old.
Yeah. But I was sick as well, because the smell on the boat, the smell of the food, the smell of everything, the place just upset my stomach. This is a country kid who's now coming to this world where everything is different. Never been in a place like that. I'm accustomed to open fields. I'm accustomed to a river, to mango trees, to breadfruit trees, coconut trees. And here I was being placed on this massive boat with hundreds of other people, not enjoying what I was smelling. And so I was sick for about a week, I think, just bringing up anything I tried to eat. So it was very traumatic for me. And then eventually arriving at Southampton, again, to experiences that was just absolutely like being on another planet. Seeing a train for the first time, because in Montserrat, you're not going to have that. Even getting close to a white person, I had never been that close to a white person until I landed at Southampton. So seeing so many white people close up, the type of vehicles, it was middle of winter, February, so it was very cold.
Cool. That's another experience, isn't it? That must have been a bit.
Still dressed like I was in Montserrat.
Yeah.
So everything was cold. Everything was icy for me. And I was eventually taken into temporary care because my mother didn't quite arrive with her driver until everybody that came off the boat had left. And the people normally laugh when I say they
you think it's lost and found.
Never forget that. Never forget it. They lost property, mate. And that's the way they eventually found me.
So when you arrived in England, then where did you
with a cutlass? You have to show respect.
Yeah, man. Did you
Don't mess.
Where did you settle? Where did you guys settle initially when you came to
Lower
the UK?
Lower Clapton in Lower Clapton, East London. Went to Millfield School, also Brookhouse. Literally 5-minute walk. Both schools, primary school, Millfield School, secondary school, Brookhouse, right by what used to be a roundabout. They've now turned it into an area of buses. Hangout buses stop and recharge the batteries, I suppose.
Clapham hold on a minute, Donna. Clapham is not Hackney. Clapham is not Hackney, darling.
No, I'm Hackney man. I'm a Hackney man.
Yeah, you're a Hackney man, but right about she jumping ahead. She jumping ahead. She eager, yes, yeah. Whoa, Lower Clapton, Hackney man. Look at this.
Lower Clapton, Antigua and Allison. Wow.
Yeah.
She will know the Garrow. That's what we call Antiguans. Montserrat call Antiguans Garrow.
Is it? Now you've told us something we never knew. So we're gonna stop calling Miss Plush. Plush. We're gonna call her Garrow from now on.
Yeah. There we go.
Hold on,
the interesting thing is the relationship between Montserrat and Antigua they interchange so much because it literally a 15-minute flight.
Okay.
A 15-minute flight between Antigua and Montserrat. So you have many Montserratians, Meads, for example. There are many Meads in Antigua, and vice versa. Antiguans, they chop and change their relationships, intermarrying, and so forth. So it's almost like one young country in many ways, but they still have a different accent.
So Leary has just said that traveling on your own for that length of time, you had to grow up quick.
Absolutely correct, Mary. Leary. I grew up. I grew up. I think I was already, a miniature adult by that age because I was working like an adult. I was doing hard work. I was looking after animals, rearing animals. I was working the soil, planting potatoes and other things around the house so we can eat. We'd go fishing with Dad, and we have a fishing line, my brother, and whatever we caught is what we ate. So,
okay.
Looking at healthy eating, we didn't eat anything that had chemicals in it, as a lot of Montserrats, a lot of West Indians would definitely agree.
So, do you know this ferry that she's talking about?
Yeah. Yes, it's a ferry running between the islands. Interesting. When I went down with my choir, there were about 20 of us, 20, yeah. And there are a few of them who don't like the sea. And so that short ferry ride, I had an issue with some of them losing their breakfast.
Okay.
Just an hour, but yeah, they don't enjoy the ride. It wasn't very rough, wasn't very fast either, but yeah, when you don't have your sea legs, you don't have your sea legs.
Okay.
But they had an excellent time, and a lot of them were from Jamaica, let me say.
What, the yardie
they used
them?
to run, yeah, they used to take the mick out of me. They say, you come from a small island, they say, one house, one tree. One house, one tree. But when they were leaving the island, Rudy, some of them were bawling. They were crying their eyes out. Literally, they just fell in love with the island, with the people. They said the friendliest people we've met. They had such an amazing time. We were on the island for about 3-4 days. We performed with Arrow. He was still alive at the time.
Okay.
Arrow and his band. And then we performed at the governor's house because there's a representative of the British government on the island. So he had a reception for us, and we performed at that. And we just had a fabulous time. Then we went to Antigua. We're in Jolly Harbour.
I went to Jolly Harbour. I've been there.
Oh, you know.
I've been to Jolly Harbour. Yeah.
Oh yeah, great place.
Yeah.
Great. This short ferry ride, but not easy, but a lot cheaper than the Teeth place. Yeah, Jolly Harbour is a nice place. We had a fabulous time there. All inclusive rather.
Okay.
All inclusive, and we just had a great time. I nearly lost my little toe. Stories. I went on a what do you call them?
The on the sea. You're talking about the sea. Yeah, I know. Yeah,
the bike.
The bikes, yeah.
Jet ski. I was out there, flat water, beautiful day out, having a great time, and I went to do a turn after building up my speed and I came off the bike. Off the bike. It's
called inertia, mate. Inertia. Yeah. You're still going this way and the bike's going the other way. Inertia, mate. Yeah.
Superman, man. Superman. I was going so far.
All you needed, Bazil, was a cape. All you needed at that time was a cape, bro. That's what you needed.
Yeah, oh my goodness. Now, I was the only one out there because the others were riding. They were all doing their own thing. So I came off and the bike cuts off.
Because it pulls up. Yeah, that's right.
So I went back on the bike, and as I got on the bike, I saw red out of the corner of my eye. And when I looked down, I saw blood rushing out of between my little toe and the next toe. So I thought I better get out of here in case there are any sharks in the water. You know, you saw.
Oh God! Yeah.
So I revved up and head back to land. And as I was going in one of the, it was my wife at the time. She's Trinidadian.
Okay.
And she saw me walk in the sand, and she caught the red and said, "Bazil, come here." So I walked across to her. I said, "What's wrong?" She said, "Look at your toe." I said, "What?" So when I looked down at it, I saw it was really bleeding out. So she said, "Come here," because she was a nurse.
Okay.
And she took my little toe and wiggled it like that.
Oh no!
Oh my! I didn't feel anything.
That means that toe was just hanging. That toe was just Ooh.
Yeah, listen, mate. And I wasn't feeling any pain. And she said, oh, quickly, we'll never get you to the medical center immediately. So we walked over to the medical center. They had just closed. It's Andre. Oh, my goodness. Next time I come on your show, I'm going to have a contract. Okay? We're going to sign a contract. We're going to sign a contract. And we went, the medical office was closing. So they said, sorry, we can't help you there. That needs stitches. And we can't do anything here. So they said, but you can, if you can get to town in time, there's a place, there's a medical office that closes in half an hour. So we said, well, you can get a taxi and see if he can make it in time.
Right.
Jumped a taxi, we got into town. As we're pulling up to this medical center, we saw somebody come outside with a briefcase, locking the door. So Andre rushed up the stairs and said, hello, good evening, sir. We've got a bit of an emergency. I wondered if you could help us. And she explained the situation. And he said, oh, locked up about a long day. And she convinced him anyway to open the door and go back inside and take a look at my leg. And when he looked at it, he said, you need about 4 stitches in that. I don't have any. What did they give you to?
Anesthetic.
Anesthetic.
Did he give you a stick to bite on? Because that's what they do in Jamaica. They go bite this, and they go in.
Up to this moment, I don't remember what they did, but it had to do it without anesthetic.
Yeah. And
I don't know what it was, but there was. I think I was just afraid I'd lose my toe. Whatever he needed to do, I was prepared.
You were prepared to go through it, yeah.
Yeah. So he stitched me up, and I went back. I made sure I went in the sea with the wound to help to heal it.
Oh, that would heal it, isn't it?
Yeah. So I've had so many stories in my life. Bazil, Antigua and Alice, and Bazil jet ski, little toadies.
So was you one for the swimming? Was you big on swimming? You had a love for the sea?
I love the sea. Yeah, I can swim with it. But I remember on an island like Montserrat, you don't go to the soup. Certainly, where my lifestyle, you don't go to a shop to buy meat and fish and stuff like that. You go to the sea, or you raise your own animals, and the fish is more regular. You go to the sea to fish. Okay. It's not like here. So when I came to England, I saw them on TV. Catching fish and throw it back in the water, I'm saying. That was a bit of a joke to me. Throwing them back. When we catch fish, we take it home and we make it.
It's time to eat.
Different culture.
Yeah.
It was our livelihood. It's how we lived. We lived off the sea and the land, the trees, fresh fruit, and the root food, the yam, the potatoes, the cassava, the edos, planting. That's and I'm fine. I'm longing for this type of food more as I get older.
Okay, as you get older,
I'm going back into that area.
Yeah, I can imagine that. Never mind Leary, man. It's then I'm not a fan of the yardies. Them lot know it. The little 3 foot.
They don't give
them little 3 foot people. The yardie them. They're not really. But they're really hard over them, But then when you came to the UK and technology kind of like showed its face, i.e. the TV, and it was a case of TV or church, and it kind of upset you to know that you had to sort of like leave that behind, because you're a big Western fan, isn't it? You're big into the Westerns, cowboys and stuff like that.
I used to like the Westerns. Didn't have a TV, of course. In my village, I think there was one house with a TV. I think it was a school teacher. But you couldn't go and knock the door and ask to watch TV. So we didn't watch TV. I didn't see it was something that we couldn't afford. So we just, I think radio. Yeah, I think there was a radio. So
okay.
A lot of the programming that we got was either from the Caribbean or from America. So you hear a lot of country and Western music and some soul music.
So then
well.
it was. So does that mean it wasn't until you came to the UK did you start to get surrounded because you said your mum was quite strict actually when you came over here.
Church,
church,
we
and
went
it was
to church.
yeah.
We went to church every Sunday as a family. We went to Sunday school. You attended the morning worship, and again you had you had morning worship you had morning worship, and then in the afternoon when the best movies were on, you had to go to Sunday school.
I was watching Bonanza, mate.
There you go. So they would always play these great movies in the afternoon during Sunday school time. So I hated having to. I used to go to Sunday school with my push-up mouth.
Yeah.
Just thinking about what I'm missing.
Yeah, while you was there, I was watching The Good, Bad, and the Ugly. I just thought I'd let you know. Just thought I'd let you know, Baz.
Yeah, thank you.
That's okay. But then I'm trying to get to how the music started to seep into your life, because it wasn't until it was church, really, wasn't it, where you got that opportunity to start playing.
Yeah, I began showing interest in playing. My elder brother, who eventually came after me to England, one of the first things he bought with his first wage packet was a guitar, because he had learned to play a bit on Montserrat, and so he was playing while he was there, and so he wanted to continue. So he got a guitar straight away, and I started watching him and listening to him, and started picking up. He showed me a few chords, and so I started showing interest in church, because the church that I attend, which is the New Testament Church of God in Lower Clapton, some people listening here might know it. The pastor, R.L. Kennedy, he was a guitarist and really enthusiastic. He was a good guitarist, played with his fingers picked like you see a lot of the guitarist, traditional guitarists would play. And he saw that I was showing interest. Eventually, I got an electric guitar.
Yeah.
And he gave me more lessons, learning from him and my brother. And I began playing in church, the guitar. I wasn't much interested in piano at that time. It was more getting my head around the guitar. So I used to put the guitar through a Leslie, an organ Leslie, to give you that heavy tremolo sound.
Okay, you're getting technical on me now, but it's fine. You're getting technical on me. It's fine. Yeah, I'm hanging in there. I'm hanging in there.
Thinking out of the box with the way I did music. You just want to follow everyone else's pattern. So,
but that's quite an interesting. I know you've just rolled over that, but that's quite an interesting thing about you. You started improvising, and I want to sort of like relate this to the early jobs that you did. Right, because the idea of, because I remember back in the day when people used to have to go to work, they used to have to clock in, ka-chunk, clock out, ka-chunk, and that regimental style of work was something that was not agreeable to you.
Hated it. I hated that level of control over my life, and I suppose I wanted to be my own boss. Because I suppose I felt I had enough discipline within me to do what I need to do to make a living for myself. But I didn't have the skills. And I was quite young at that time. I was determined that I would find something to do, or wanted to do something that rendered me in charge of my life. When I work, how I work, and all of that. So that sat deeply in me. So I hated that clocking in and out, and I didn't get on too well with some of the charge hand, the guy that they put me.
Because tell them what you was doing at the time. What sort of jobs you was doing initially?
That one particular job I'm thinking about was wood machining, which is making parts of furniture. In school, I wasn't very good at woodwork. Doing those type of working with your hands and making things, I was not brilliant at that, and I was sent to this particular company down off Leabridge Road, in fact.
Okay, whoa! So everything is very localized, isn't it?
Yeah, by the youth service, because we would have been sent to them, those of us who didn't know exactly. And I left school at 15.
Whoa.
So at that age, I had basic education, read, write, a little bit of geography, a little bit of history. I was great at sports in school. I played everything for the school: rugby, football, cricket, athletics. I did everything at school, representing the borough.
Okay.
Hackney. But academically, there wasn't a lot, even music, which a lot of the guys who knew me in school are amazed, were shocked later when they used to see me on TV and heard the sort of things I was doing, because I showed no sign at all while I was in school.
Right.
That I had those skills or interest. And so, yeah, it's, that particular job was not one. And then I tried being a mechanic. Was going to college one day a week with two other guys who went to my school as well. And we were sent to this engineering company, down in Shoreditch area.
Right.
We were sent to day release, but we all got sacked. Saying it as it is. 3 of us got sacked together.
All at the same time.
Same time.
But I think those were the days when you could walk out of one job and walk into another one, though.
Yeah.
Innit?
Yeah. Because I suppose as young men, we were trying to find our way. We're trying to find which lane we should be in terms of occupation, what we'll be doing with our lives. And even tried sign writing.
Right. Okay. That's interesting.
Making these signs for the front of shops. I was learning what all these job titles were. I didn't know what they were, but they were sending you to these different places to see if it's something that really connected with you, that you feel you can do as a job for the rest of your life. And, well, none of them turned out to be that for me. But I found my purpose from being in church.
Right. Because the thing is, what I genuinely find interesting as well is the fact that you have this sense of self and this sense of I can do, which a lot of young men came into conflict with, especially when it came to parents. Because, like I said, the thing was, you get a trade, and you stick with that. You know, you literally, because I think around that time it was a case of when you had a job for life, i.e. it was 25 years, you were going to get the golden watch. Do you remember all of that? And the pension for life kind of like thing.
Yeah,
and
that system.
Yeah.
That system that didn't really resonate for me.
It didn't resonate with you at all?
No. I mean, the apprenticeship thing, which I think they should bring back now. I think it would really help solve the problem that a lot of young people, male and female, are deciding what they want to do with their lives.
Well, believe it or not, I know it sounds like I'm going off at a tangent, but I'm not really, because I mean the reason why I booed Margaret Thatcher was because she sold off most of the nationalized industries. So is that the apprenticeships and everything. I mean, we lived that to see that the apprenticeships and everything died out. And everybody became trainees, and if they weren't a trainee, they turned into what was it, the YTS scheme? I don't know if you can recall that.
Yes, I remember all that.
And so that kind of training and everything went, and obviously, people from outside of Europe started buying British industry, kind of like thing. The union started to get destroyed, so to speak. But what was beautiful for you was that day where you had the electric, was it an electric piano?
The trade.
Yeah, no, you had an electric piano and you improvised all by yourself. I read it in your book. I know I read it in the book where it was just you. And for the first time, you had this sense of freedom in front of everybody. Because, you had got up on stage, but now it was just you. It was just you doing your own thing. And people appreciate it.
I had to. My mentor, Olive Paris, Bazil, I was born and spent 11 years in Jamaica, can relate to everything you did in Montserrat. Barefoot to amazing time of my life.
Olive Paris.
Olive Paris.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely, Larry. Absolutely. It's the best time of my life too. It shaped me and gave me the disciplines I needed to do what I am doing now. Olive Paris took me under her wings and mentored me, started me off with the playing of piano. Eventually, digressing. There she is, amazing woman. That woman transformed my life. She was mixed race, Jamaican mother, Scottish father. She was a Salvation Army major in Trinidad. She's Jamaican. She lived in Trinidad quite a while. Eventually came to UK and joined the Pentecostal movement, New Testament Church of God. That's where we met. She was mother. She didn't birth me, but she might as well have done. So she treated me like a son. She didn't have any children of her own. Treated me like a son, loved me, made me looking into myself and see that there was something good in me, because at a point in my life, I really doubted I would have been, if I continued down the route I was, I don't think I would have been here now. I was very angry. Very angry, because I felt life had not been fair to me. I think
a lot of us was going through that, not knowing what sort of trauma we were up at, because you believe it or not, I mean, you know, whether people recognize it or not, the institutions were biased, they were racist, and there was all this hidden tension that we were dealing with, not even knowing that we were dealing with it. You know, a lot of us were angry, didn't know why we were angry. We started to articulate it later on. That's why the riots happened in '84, the sus and all that kind of stuff that was going on. But at the moment, excuse me for a minute, please, Basil. It's just to let everybody know that the hour is now up. And for those of you who know me, for those of you who know me, once I hit an hour, I leave Facebook and I go over to YouTube. All right. I leave Facebook and I go over to YouTube. So what I'm going to do, for those of you who do not have the link to YouTube, is I'm going to place the link in the comments for you. All right, so that you can join us in YouTube. All right, I'm going to do that for you guys now. Aston has joined us. Mr. Magnificent has joined us as well. Right, so there is the link for you guys for YouTube. Thank you very much. Yeah, there's the link. Thanks, Antigua. Right, and as we make that transition, I do believe that the London Gospel Choir at the moment is raising money to keep its head above water, because of what's happened with the lockdown. And if you'd permit me to, I would like to play one of your recordings, and then we will be going over to the YouTube channel. So just allow me to do that.
Okay.
Hello, this is Bazil Meade from the London Community Gospel Choir to announce some important news regarding our concert to save LCGC. As a choir, we have personally had the great privilege to meet the royal family and perform for them on numerous occasions over the years. In support and respect of the Queen and the laying to rest of her beloved Prince Philip on Saturday, 17th of April, and a national day of mourning, we have taken the decision to move the LCGC concert to the 22nd of May at 6 p.m. in the evening. So, please join us to celebrate the amazing concert we have planned now for the 22nd of May, with more exciting artists joining us. Thank you once again for all of the support you, our dear friends, have shown LCGC leading up to this very important event.
Right, so I'm hoping that everybody was able to take that in. So I'm going to say goodbye, all the people on Facebook. All right, and hopefully you'll join us on YouTube. Okay, so that's Facebook has now, we've now moved across. And once again, I'd just like to remind everyone I'm talking to Bazil Meade, my guest tonight, MBE, from the London Gospel Community Choir. This is the man who put it together, and we're just embarking on his musical journey at the moment. Now we're just we spent so much time in the West Indies. That's what happens. That's what happens.
You need 10 programs to get the full story. Let me warn you.
Well, they're only going to get another 25 minutes, unfortunately, and we'll try and praise it. Okay. We will try and praise it. Is the best thing that we can do. So hi everybody on YouTube. Thanks for staying with us. And I noticed a couple of the numbers are fluttered, but that was to be expected. Aston said I learned to play a guitar by ear as well. Because you didn't actually go and study music, did you?
No, I still haven't managed to do that now. I tried in my ascent into doing what I was doing. I was driven. I wanted it passionately, so I was listening. My ears were in peak condition, so I was able to listen to music and play. I was listening to a piece of music and hear what they were doing and be able to find the chords and do it. I tried going to a class that was for a term, but I had to drop out after about 3 weeks because everything that I was given to do, I already worked it out in my head, and I just found that I couldn't work to the paper, to the sort of slow notations that the teacher was using for the class. So I left that, and I just continued to work with my ear. I've written songs. I've worked with world's top musicians. You will find there are many artists, really very well-known artists who do not read music.
Well, Beres Hammond is one of them. I know that much.
Who's that?
Beres Hammond. What's his name? The Walrus. They call him the Walrus. Oh, what's his name? Big guy. The Walrus. When it came to music. Women love him, man. Women love him. Barry White. Barry White's another one.
White. Okay.
And Barry White would construct an orchestra.
I mean, once you're working in the big arena, as long as you have somebody around you who can tackle that side of it, when it comes down to the raw talent and the delivering of the passion and the heart and the artistry, you don't need notations for that. That comes from the soul and the heart of the person. You have good ear, you know how you want to sing, what you want to sing, how you want to deliver it, and you deliver it in that way with all heart. And that's the human element of performances. Okay. Not necessarily what you have written on paper. It's the soul and the heart, the believability that comes from the artist. Honestly.
I can hear something. Is that me?
Hey, y'all. Hey, what's going on?
Can you hear that? Is it me?
Is that you or me?
That's you, bruv. That's not me.
Where did that come from? What was that?
Is it on your phone? Is your phone or something?
Yeah. I got frightened from it. I'm saying, well, what is that?
Yeah, you want to press a button. You want to press a button, bruv. So tell me then. So tell me, where did the people skills come from? Where did the people skills come from?
Do you know, I suppose watching Olive in church, and I learned the hard way. I think it's probably the honest answer, because I learned on my feet, right? Because being in church, I was given positions or situations of responsibility to deliver. Like I was given a stack of gospel albums and said, I need you to teach the young people how to sing. That was my introduction to organizing choir. Right. So I pulled them together. I listened to music on these vinyl albums of the top American gospel artists, your James Cleveland's, your Aretha, your Billy Preston, the Caravans, and the Hawkins family, Andre Crouch. So I listened to these albums, and again, by ear, I was able to play a bit. I was playing better all the time. So I played and taught the choir. And that started the choir in my church, which at the time was Olive's Church, which is the Latter-rain Outpouring Revival in Hoxton.
Okay.
Yeah. We started off in Evering Road. You might, you're from North London, aren't you?
I'm Northwest London. I'm Harlesden.
Northwest. So yeah, Evering Road is quite well known. Those who know Hackney and Lower Clapton, Evering Road. So that's where we started the church. We dug the cellar out.
Right.
So we were having church in the cellar at first, and then we grew, and then we bought our own building down in Hoxton, and that's where the church still is now. That's where we worship. So I was given a responsibility, youth leader, minister of music in the church, so an elder, and so I was learning how to deal with people, not just from as a musician. But
that's what I mean. That's what I mean. Because the music is one thing, yeah. The organization and the coordination of different personalities coming together. And when I consider that your dad was quite a strict man, right?
Yeah.
So I'm going to assume that you've got those traits, yeah. But then do those traits work when it now comes to dealing with?
Well, it taught me how to set boundaries.
Okay.
My dad set boundaries for me and my brother. Some of them you don't want to hear here, but he was a strict man, and he expected you to behave according to his rules. You lived under his roof,
right?
And so you learned, and you live according to those boundaries you had. And therefore, when people come in your space to join you, to do something with you, if you're a leader of it, you fall back onto those guidelines, those instructions, those structures in which you lived as a person. You can't just go out and live. To me, yeah, some people do that, but you fall on those guidelines and structures in which you grew up and you learned. All your life was ordered by these things, these rules. And so that's what I did. You learn many more as you begin to work with people. And I think my main focus all the time was to get these people to work as a team, as a family, so we all achieve what we've agreed we've come together to do.
Okay.
And that was also always my main focus. So sometimes I had to take the wrong, for the sake of progress.
Right.
Because if I noticed that I was not getting anywhere by holding my stance, I softened. And if I saw that was appeasing the person, then we went with that. I can eat that humble pie. Because I was achieving
the goal, the ultimate goal.
The goal, absolutely.
The actual goal.
So that is a method I used quite a lot, because I found a lot of time confrontations was what it is, confrontation.
Yeah, because I mean, I must admit, I'm not the greatest guy when it comes to handling conflict. More so because I think I'm a sole trader. I stand on stage by myself. I don't share the stage. I don't share the stage very well. You know,
I often tell people I am not a choir. I'm one person, but I lead, I coordinate, I nurture, I counsel. I have to do all of that because people singing with me have issues, and at times they have no one else to go and share those issues with. And because I know their heart and they're with me because they want to do what we do together. So I try to find a space and time where I can listen. If I can give advice or there's practical help that I can share, then I do that in order to help them to
was that more than you expected? Was that, I mean, that just creep up on you?
Responsibility, you mean?
Yeah.
That
crept up on you, yeah?
Oh yeah. Like I said, it was, I struggled at times. I was learning about all that people's care thing, as well as the artistic side, the emotional, the personal side of each person. And then I also had to look at the business side, which I had the music business side.
Again, that's another area, and that's away from your natural talent, isn't it?
Yeah. That's another area, dealing with very rough people out there. I'm coming from church background, so my attitude is probably more trusting.
Yeah, it's going to be trusting.
I had to learn the hard way not to be so trusting, because a lot of the people I worked with or dealt with or had any business transactions with were not particularly understanding or honest with the way they conducted themselves.
I can well imagine that. But then your study of music now, and you know, you coming into Britain and realizing that Britain has its own culture, it has its own way, and you've listened to all the Americans, and you've decided that now did you decide that now you're gonna develop this British thing, this British voice, this Brits? Because not only were you changing the music at the time, as I saw it, but it was also having an effect on the church. Because I mean, I've got images here, which quite clearly demonstrates that. In that, them lot are dressed like this, right? And that is not what you think of when you think of choir.
No.
Do you know what I mean?
One of the things you will notice there, we immediately, I said to the choir, look, we are not going to be a robed choir. I know the traditional image of a gospel choir is wearing robes, but I said we're not going to be a robed choir. We're going to come dressed, coordinated, but we're going to wear everyday clothes. And because the intention was, I suppose, to lose a little bit of the tag that is automatically applied to Christian faith groups.
Right.
I wanted us to be seen as normal people,
right,
but having a life of faith. I want people to accept being in our company and us being in their company without feeling challenged or judged, feeling uncomfortable because we might start preaching at them or making them feel uncomfortable if they swear or if they're drinking something that's alcoholic, or I really wanted to break down those barriers. And I think that's one of the reasons you never saw me wearing a collar, or I actually deliberately took the REV out of my...
Yeah, because they started calling you the Rev, innit? They started calling you Rev. Yeah.
Up to this day, some of my guys still, that's how they call me. But what I was discovering, that people behave differently. When I saw that, and I just wanted people to be themselves with me and relax, and we can connect on that level. That I just wanted to be a real person to them.
But how did the church take that? Because I remember, I think when I did a promo on you, I said, no, not when I did a promo on you. I think I wrote a message to you and I go, what? Lipstick in our church. Wagwa. It was a joke kind of like thing, but it's challenging. You're challenging the whole structure.
The status quo.
The status quo. I mean, come on, man.
Yeah. Oh, we did that. We did that. Just the fact that we formed from so many different organizations. Because that's what the London Community Gospel Choir did. It brought young people from many different churches wearing different labels. Right. But when we came together as the choir, we were the London Community Gospel Choir, and not from different church, but we were just a choir, a group of people, young people. And when the choir formed and we started getting the media's attention, right, it was the backdrop was the riots. Okay. The backdrop. So young Black people out in the streets rebelling to the stop and search thing. Come on, talk it. We were being treated by the police. Talk it. Yeah, all the negative stuff that was going on to our people, it exploded. But on the backdrop of that was the formation of this group of young Black people who were from church, but doing something in a different way. And I thought, here we have a platform to talk about our story, our journey, in a different way. Talk it. There are different ways. I was not going to be opposing what the angry guys were doing, because there was reason for it. There was justification. As a young man as well. I have the experiences. I know the frustrations, and some of those guys were being stopped over and over again. without doing anything wrong. So it was an interesting time. The 1980s was
Must have
very
been.
interesting.
It must have been.
There are a lot of initiatives happening. Channel 4 came to be, the LCGC, the Voice newspaper.
Mm-hmm.
So I've discovered so many other businesses started between 1980 to 83, that period.
Mm-hmm.
Very entrepreneurial time. New initiatives came out. So it was a challenge for the church to have this organization with one name, Bazil Meade, at the top of it.
Right.
And it was a bit of a challenge because they thought that this man was trying to take their young people.
That's it, bruv. That's where I go with it, because at the end of the day, you've got all of these kids coming to you, as well as adults who are coming to you, and that's why I was asking you about the social side. All of this, because everybody's coming with this different type of baggage. Yes, we all want to sing, and yes, we've all got a sense of morals and principles about us, which is based around Christianity. I get that. Do you know what I mean? But for you to have taken that and galvanized it and made it something, and then not only were you in church, but you decided it's time to go out, to step beyond the M25.
I mean, some people might look upon it as a political move as well.
I hear that, and that's and we, like we spoke the other day. I didn't want us to go there, but we have to kind of like feel it out, because I love, the thing is, what I love about my comedy, to be honest with you for a moment, Baz, is that I don't preach to the converted. I can talk to black people about black people and comedy all day if you allow me, yeah. But when I go into a racist area and I do my thing, and they either buy a CD or a DVD off me, my job is done. Do you understand what I'm trying to say?
Yeah. And I felt strongly back then that maybe from my own personal way of tackling some of the race issues is education.
Okay.
And not just education for the white community, but for the black community.
Of course.
Yeah. Many of my young people at the time, I think the average age might have been 19 or 20 at the time.
Okay.
So he's young. And many of these guys have never been into a white person's home. They never actually sat down in a friendly sort of arrangement and sat down and talked and just talked. I had relationships. And when we started performing, quite a few of them, in fact, I think majority of our invitations were coming from the white church.
Come on, talk it.
Yeah, it was amazing. You would never have thought so, but that's where there was a desire there to have our style of music, of gospel music in services. Could be for replacing a roof or just to come and help them to worship. And sometimes when we went pretty far out, we didn't come home the same night after the show. We would stay with families.
Okay.
So we would break the choir up into 2s and 3s into homes, and the families would accommodate that. And that was actually an amazing exercise where, the sort of integration, the introducing the black kids to white families, and many of them remained friends. They knocked up for relationships and became friends. So I saw that as a very positive thing.
Right.
And so we did quite a lot of that during the 80s. So people began learning about each other. I mean, I still have contact with many of the people I've met from back those days. The churches, people have supported me. And they're not from the black churches. So it was building bridges. And that's what I saw it as an opportunity. And the London Community Gospel Choir has always been interested, driven to reach out to different communities and bring us closer together, because that's the only time we're going to be learning. Some will never come, and we must know that those who have a problem with us from both sides, some who have a problem with that exercise will not move in that direction, but we need to work together to try and get rid of a lot of the negative stuff that still exists.
Yep.
But thank God it is getting less. We're beginning to make some progress. I think we must acknowledge that.
But I think that what you've managed to do is you've managed to show that other side of us, that spiritual side of us, without bashing people over the head with the Bible.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Absolutely.
And I think that is a wonderful thing to be able to do, because not everybody can communicate that. You know, it's either a straight political point that they're making and leaving all the sociology out of it. Yeah, but be able to bring this and to bring these, because you guys bring out emotion as well. Because like you said, it's not about the written word is important, but it's not as important as the emotion that comes from behind the words that are coming out of one's voice is what I'm getting.
Yeah, people connect more to you if they feel your honesty, if they can feel the emotion. I had another story, short story. This one, I mean, we could go for 2 or 3 hours or more. We went to Beirut. We're invited to Beirut. Now, Beirut is a country that
war torn, mate. War torn.
Absolutely.
War torn.
So my choir members when we landed, we were taken to the hotel. AK-47. Almost every guy you see on the street. Bullet holes in the
I've seen it.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
So my choir members, oh my God, what are we going to be safe here? So, you know, a bit of reassuring. I said, we're fine. We're people who invited here. We'll take care of us. Good care.
Yeah.
But we were there. I said, we're here. We came to bring peace, bring hope to a population of people who had a lot of tribulation, a lot of war, violence, and so they believe that we can help them to bring the community together. So they organized a concert. We had this amazing 1,500-seater church. I think it was massive. We had a local choir, an orchestra, and we did the show the night. The woman who hired us, she wept the night because I have a song. Perfect Harmony is called. Isn't it good to be as one, living in perfect harmony, sharing the good things? She said, you know what? It has been a long time since we had so many different people or people from the different areas of our community in the same place.
Same place. Yeah. Yes.
And when she looked around and I had everybody holding hands singing.
Oh.
I told him, don't look to the left or the right. You just
I'm getting goosebumps listening to you, you know. I'm getting goosebumps listening to you.
Oh, listen, I get goosebumps thinking about it now because at the end of the show, there were so many people in the place. They brought the children to sit where the choir was performing so to leave the seats for adults.
Right.
And so I was performing with children under my arms. I was playing the piano. And a woman at the concert came with her baby in her arms and tears in her eyes.
Yeah.
I swear.
No, you're not lying. I can feel it already. Basil.
She looked in she didn't speak English. So she looked in my eyes and put her hand on my chest where my heart is.
Yeah.
I just looked in my eyes and shook her head.
Yeah.
And walked away.
Yeah. That says a lot. That says a lot.
I was fixed.
Yeah, that says a lot.
For a moment when I took that moment in.
Yeah.
It was, moments like this for me, just as I say, this gives me energy when I recount. And there's so many of them that I've experienced down through the years performing. That's why it's such a blessed thing that I feel I have been given to do and will continue doing for the rest of my days. It's helped me to live and be human, recognizing that people who look like me are not the only ones on the planet.
Okay.
And that everyone else has their own culture, their own food, their own music. And the biggest pleasure is engaging with that difference. Engaging with it, understanding it, eating the food, and just taking in the smells of the different culture. It is amazing. It really is. People need to travel. People who struggle with other cultures, people who don't look like them or not like them, they need to travel. It's an amazing place.
It's an amazing.
As you know, you've traveled.
It's amazing, bruv, because when you create that kind of energy, that kind of ambience, that kind of feeling around people, and it used to hurt me, especially when I was doing a lot of the war gigs and stuff like that. It was like then knowing that once they stepped out of that space, they were gonna go back to that madness. Yeah,
and that's it.
Yeah, they were gonna go back to that madness. But I think what it really does is it sums up why you took up the MBE, why it was offered to you. We didn't even get around to explaining how much of an influence you also had on the comedy circuit, because in the top left-hand corner and the top right-hand corner,
left and
we've
right,
got left and right, we've got Jefferson, and on to the right, we've got Whitfield.
Yeah.
Right, Angela Ma, that's you dead in the middle with your with your drip curls.
It was uniform back then, mate.
With your drip curls.
We all had it. We all had the Jerry curl, mate.
Just how much of an impact you indirectly had on the entertainment industry as a whole, and that togetherness and oneness that the gospel brought to our community, and all the lives that you've touched. I mean, you touched my sister's life. My sister's not on the planet anymore, but you know, for me to be able to bring her picture back up on screen and relive 1998 and the time that you spent with her, you know, is a blessing for me personally. And I'm hoping that everybody who's watched the show and the people who will watch the show, you know, after we've finished, you know, will take a moment and give you the plaudits that you deserve.
Yeah, well, thank you, Rudy. Yeah.
No, that's fine, bruv, because I'm emotional right now, to be honest with you. Give you the plaudits that you deserve, because, you know, I feel that our community hasn't had the opportunity to hold up people such as yourself.
We desperately need to do that. We need to celebrate our achievers, our leaders. I look at my African American peoples, and they're putting on events constantly.
All the time.
Constantly celebrating the people in their community who deserve to be recognized. And that it gives the children, you know, some place to aim, icons to aim for. I want to be like that person. I want to do what they did. You know, they might end up doing something else, but they want to get up there so they can do for their community and be somebody that people are proud to say, I know that person. They have been a good person. They have lived a good life.
And I just want to mention that even within the strict upbringing that you had, the one thing that you did when it as a leader of your organization was that you allowed everybody to have solo roles at some point, and you allowed them to improvise and take the lead, and you allowed them to demonstrate their individuality. It was your style of management.
Yeah, I hated imitation. So we would do covers. We'd cover songs. When I say, if I ask you to do a cover of that song, I don't want you to do a copy of the lead voice, because a waste of time, because that person will sing it better than you. Right. But I want to hear your version. You know, it'll be different, and that's what I want to hear. I want to hear what do you bring to it? You know, I need you to take the song into your spirit, into your heart, and then you deliver it with your expression. Don't copy what you heard. You might learn the tune and the lyrics, but present it. Send it out there with your flavors. Send it out there with your honesty, with your interpretation of it. And that's what I insist on my lead singers doing. They have to do that. I don't think it's... and that's why I insisted that we write our own songs right from the outset. Okay. Tell our own story. Sing about our lives here in UK. We don't live in America. We live here. That's right. In UK. So write about life here. Write it for your perspective. Right. So that people honestly connect with you, with your life, with your journey, with the ups and downs of your journey. That is what people will connect with, and they'll remember that, not an imitation of someone else's journey. And that's a beautiful thing to do, to give to an individual, that freedom to be able to express themselves. Because once you do a 9 to 5, you're working to a protocol, you're working to a person specification, you're working to a job description that keeps you in a channel or on a track that you're not allowed to get off, or otherwise you've broken the rules. But looking at you from way back in the day, bruv, you always wanted to break the rules.
You've always been one to want to step out of the box. You've challenged the church, you know, you've brought the wider community in within the Black community, and we haven't even been able to touch on, well, we have briefly what you've done around the world, you know. I know
this has been very interesting.
It would be definitely going to have to do a part 2 with yourself. Most probably be about season 5 or season 6 if I'm still around to do it. But people, I'm going to allow you 5 minutes to ask Bazil anything before I close this evening. You're already getting rounds of applause, mate. You're already getting standing ovations.
Donna, thank you.
It's then let's see what Aston is saying. When you're in the moment of inspiration and living your truth, the world can see and feel the humanity that we all have. And that's what you allowed them to express, Bazil. Yeah,
absolutely. Well said, Aston.
That's what you allowed them to express. I sing every one of my karaoke songs. I know why you're not on list. Songs with my own voice and timing.
Stamp your personality on it all. When you sing a song, do Aston, all right? Not somebody else's.
Yeah. Wow, awesome. Back in the day photo of Jefferson and Whitfield. Tell them the story about on the plane. Jefferson and Whitfield,
Jefferson and Whitfield, they started their career on buses in Sweden. The choir, we booked a flight. We booked our own plane in our first trip to Scandinavia. We booked our own plane. We paid for it by every member and friends contributing about 150, 200 pounds. And we flew into Scandinavia for 5 days, into Sweden. And we had 2 buses, because there were so many of us, 2 buses. Jefferson and Whitfield split up. So we had entertainment on each bus. We traveled for hours. So we had in-house entertainment on the buses. And that's where these guys actually started their comedy act. And then whenever the choir had functions, they were our hosts. And so they just honed their gift, their talent on the London Community Gospel Choir, and then they went commercial. They were out there and joined people like Rudi on the circuit. They were hilarious guys, but they could sing a little bit. Not great, but they sang. They were tenor voices.
Okay, because they used to. I think they had a little skit that they used to do with the guitar, as I recall it.
Really?
They used to do a little singing and stuff like that.
Yeah, but I still have good connection with Jefferson.
I must admit, I interviewed them, I think maybe about 4 weeks ago, and they spoke very highly of you, extremely highly of you, as most people that I come across also do. And it was one of the reasons why it just felt organic after interviewing them, because I mainly talked to the comics that I came across your path. So when I sent that message to you and you responded as promptly as you did, it did take me back a bit. It did take me back a bit, and I do appreciate it. But I've got to bring this to a close, right? Because I feel that if we go on, right, we're going to go on all night, and them lot don't deserve that. I know.
Thank you, Claire. I hope you enjoyed it. Claire sent a message there.
They will, man. And obviously, like I said, it's going to go out, and once it goes out, you know, people will be able to watch it later on. Yeah. So all those people who watch it later on, thank you very much for tuning in, man. Would you like to say a little bit more about this?
Yeah, I'm just hoping that you can join us on the day. We're mounting this fundraising concert because we struggle to gain any funding from the amount of government grants that have been put out there. We have not been fortunate. We've applied maybe 5 times or so and have managed maybe just about a 10,000 handshake over 12 months where we have not been able to work at all. So we decided we must help ourselves and not go under, because if we don't get some funds in by the time we're able to work again, we don't know whether our future is going to be here anymore. So this concert is fundraising. You can have access to all the information on LCGC website, lcgc.org.uk. You get all information from there. You can donate, hopefully, and then you will get information on where you can link connect with the streaming concert on the day, 22nd of May, 6 p.m. in the evening. And if you want to learn more about me and my journey, as Rudi has shown that he's read the book, it is available on Amazon. Here we get, there it is. Bazil Meade, A Boy, A Journey, A Dream. It is a nice read. Everybody who's read it has said that they enjoy very much reading it. It's my story and that of the London Community Gospel Choir. There's so much I could not go into with Rudi.
No, man, there's loads in there. There's loads. There's loads in there. There's loads in there, and it really was a good read, you know. And the thing is that I speed read, you know, and I found myself having to stop. I had to stop speed reading and read the thing properly, so to speak. Yeah, yeah, I do. Yeah, speed read. I speed read. And it was a wonderful read. But I thought I couldn't think of a better way of leaving tonight. Because what I'm going to do is I'm going to play out the track that I've been using as a promo. Yeah, it's going to be coming straight from YouTube, which means that all of the advertising revenue should go back to LCGC, which is great. You know what I mean? The London Gospel Community Choir, yeah. So on that note, let me do this. They're feisty, Basil. They're feisty.
Me and all my friends, we are all misunderstood. They say we stand for nothing. There's no way we ever could see what's going wrong with the world and those who lead it. We just don't have the means to rise above and beat it. So we keep on waiting on the world to change. We keep on waiting on the world to change. It's hard to beat the system when we're standing at a distance. Keep on waiting on the world to change. If we have the power to bring our neighbors home from war, they would have never missed a Christmas. No more ribbons on the door. When you trust your television, what you see is what you got. Hey, when you don't know the information, they can bend it on the wire. We keep on waiting on the world to change. Yeah, waiting on the world to change. Waiting, yeah, world to change. Yeah, waiting on the world to change. It's hard to break the system when you're standing at a distance. So we keep waiting on a world to change. People get ready. There's a train a-coming, picking up passengers. They're going from coast to coast. All you need to do is hear the diesel humming. You don't need no ticket. You just get on board. Drink it already. Get ready, get ready, get ready. Yeah. Come and you better get ready. Get ready, get ready, get ready. Just get on board. Get ready, get ready, get ready. Come and get ready, get ready, get ready. Just get on board. There ain't no room
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, Mr. Bazil Meade MBE, thank you very much for joining me on the platform. Really enjoyed your company, man. Really enjoyed your story. Highly inspirational, my friend. And thank you from my sister and my brother Kellyon,
Yeah.
who you also
Can't
know.
forget Kelly. That's
Yes.
right.
Who you also know.
Yeah.
They're all saying they really enjoyed that. Lovely hearing your story, Bazil. Respect to you, sir. Respect to Rudi as well for highlighting yourself and other prominent achievements in our community, man. Well,
Blessings, Larry. Thank you for that.
as the Rants and Bants crew know, that's what we do. We search out people like yourself, and we bring them on. We bring them onto this platform because if we don't do it, no one's going to do it. So, as you said,
help ourselves, Rudy.
we got to help ourselves.
We talk too much. We need to act. That's me. We've got to act. We say a lot, but we need to put action into our words. Bring them alive. Let's do. That's the only way we're going to get out this rut that we're in as a people.
Okay. And on that note, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to play out on Bazil once again. Thank you very much for joining me, and look out for me. Look out for my announcements for when the season will begin again. It's not the 12th of May. I'll come back on the 12th of May. So look out for that. And in the meanwhile, guys, look after yourselves. Stay safe.
Bless you. Thank you. Good night, everybody.
Hello, this is Bazil Meade from the London Community Gospel Choir to announce some important news regarding our concert to save LCGC. As a choir, we have personally had the great privilege to meet the royal family and perform for them on numerous occasions over the years. In support and respect of the Queen and the laying to rest of her beloved Prince Philip on Saturday, 17th of April, and a national day of mourning, we have taken the decision to move the LCGC concert to the 22nd of May at 6 p.m. in the evening. So, please join us to celebrate the amazing concert we have planned now for the 22nd of May, with more exciting artists joining us. Thank you once again for all of the support you, our dear friends, have shown LCGC leading up to this very important event.